So I've done a lot of Ghibli movies on this channel, and most of them were fantasy, you know. And I do normally lean towards sci-fi. I write sci-fi. So I was happy to find out that this request that I got was for a dystopian sci-fi.
1,000 years have passed since the collapse of industrialized civilization. A toxic jungle now spreads, threatening the survival of the last of the human race.
Yes, so I'll be reviewing the 1984 classic, Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. And you know why? 'Cause I don't know jack squat about anime. But I'm gonna learn with all of my friends. Will you be here when my quest ends? Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind takes place in a dystopian future where centuries prior the world was destroyed and there's this big jungle that is completely toxic. There's a group of people that live in a village next to it, and Nausicaa is their princess. Nausicaa is very in touch with what remains of nature. She can talk to these weird-looking insects, and that's one of my favorite parts of this movie is the design of these insects. You got dragonflies with 4 wings and these weird, larva-looking things that are enormous. And she studies them. She knows how they act. They have to be very careful because the air is toxic. And one day, a large airship crashes and creates this big explosion, destroys a bunch of this toxic jungle. And the one survivor, with her last dying breath, tells Nausicaa to destroy the cargo on the ship, make sure it's destroyed. And the reason is because on that ship was a bioweapon very similar to the ones that created this world, that destroyed everything, made this dystopian world they live in. And so the rest of the movie is these different factions that want this bioweapon. And there's this lady who's the leader of one of these factions, and she tries to convince Nausicaa's people to help her find this bioweapon because she tries to say, well, I'll relocate you to a safer place. You're kind of close to this toxic jungle. I should relocate you somewhere else. And she tries to play nice. You can tell she's a politician type and all that stuff. And Nausicaa kind of gets caught into the middle of this conflict, these people trying to find this bioweapon. I definitely like the world building. I know I say that a lot about Ghibli movies. Some excellent world building and character design. I love all the giant bugs. But I do think that in the middle of this movie, it drags for a while. There's a lot of really cool action scenes. The animation's top shelf, as always, from Ghibli. But the action scenes are at the expense of character development, and that is a dull part at the middle of this movie. The end of the movie, I think, sticks the landing. That's where they were going with this, And I like the ending a lot. And of course, there's a positive environmental message that's good for children, and others. It sets up this interesting world and interesting main characters, and doesn't really develop it very much towards the middle. I like the voice actors. I forget which character was Shia LaBeouf, but apparently Shia LaBeouf's the voice in this movie. Patrick Stewart plays this older, kick-butt, older guy with a trench coat and a brim on his hat, and he's very, respectable leader. And I would have cast Patrick Stewart too.
It's great to see you.
Thank you for helping me with that arm. You've certainly mastered that glider of yours.
You think so? Father says I have a long way to...
Oh, yes. I forgot all about this little fellow. He's the reason I got in trouble with the arm.
Wow, is that a fox squirrel? I've never seen one.
One joke in this movie that kind of made me laugh was a lady who's like one of the factions who wants to find this weapon, and she doesn't care if the jungle gets destroyed because, it's toxic anyway. She has a prosthetic arm, and she pulls off her prosthetic arm at one point to get out of some handcuffs. Somebody puts her in some handcuffs. And to imply that, she's lost other limbs because of these insects in this jungle, they are a bit ferocious. She says she makes some joke about, yes, my future husband is going to have some more surprises or something like that. I thought it was a pretty funny adult joke in a PG movie. So that made me laugh, but then the rest, bored me until the end. I think they stick the landing, but there's a big lull in the middle of it. And with that in mind, I like to give this movie 3 poisonous spores out of 5. 3 out of 5. There's a lot to like about it, but there's just a lull in the middle of it. Positive message, some interesting main characters, but then they don't develop the side characters well enough in that. So thank you for watching this review. Please suggest any anime you would like me to watch, whether you love it or hate it. I'd like to check it all out. And as always, this video is sponsored by Turtle Rocket Books, quirky top shelf sci-fi in a literary sci-fi multiverse. Want to see some weird stuff?